Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining today's session. Today, we're joined by myself, David Simpson. I'm the Global Product Manager for Power Project, and also Tony Woodford, our Customer Success Manager, who will be the point of contact for further inquiries and about everything within this webinar. In terms of the agenda today, a number of things that we want to go through. First of all, we're looking at the principles of lean construction within that. We'll then take a deeper dive around the planning systems and the adoption of the last planner system, and within that is included a demo of the Asta Connect product recently introduced earlier this year, and then we'll finish on how else Eleco Soft can support you with lean construction, and if there's time, Tony will open up to questions, and if we've got time, we'll certainly answer them today. If not, we'll get those out to you after the session. So if you do have a question at any point in time, feel free to use the dialogue area within the GoToWebinar functionality, and yeah, we'll look to answer those questions at the end of the session. Okay, so without further ado, let's dive into the principles of lean construction. What is it, and why might you want to start introducing it within your projects to reap the benefits? But before we get started, I think it's important always to kind of set context, and in the context of the construction industry, let's look at the challenges that are well known within the industry, and why lean construction is a key part of change. So I think if we start with a core kind of opportunity stat, right? $97 trillion is set to be spent globally on infrastructure in the next 20 years in order to keep pace with the profound economic and demographic changes that are facing the globe, and also at the same time meet the UN's Sustainable Development Goals. Now, in the context of what that might look like, for instance, 13,000 buildings need to be built each day from now until 2050, to support the expected population growth within urban environments. And if you look specifically within the UK, the National Infrastructure Construction Pipeline in the UK alone forecasts £650 billion worth of investment in infrastructure over the coming decade. So what am I starting here with is there is tremendous opportunity within the built environment. However, the industry remains stuck somewhat in some pretty cyclical challenges, right? Those being 70% of projects are over budget, delivered late. 35% of time spent by construction professionals is actually on non-productive activities, and that could be anything from searching for project information, resolving conflict, dealing with mistakes, and rework. If we dive into that rework specific example, 52% of rework is caused by poor data or miscommunication, and the BSI estimated in the UK alone that's an annual cost of some £20 billion per annum for the entire industry within the UK. So really, significant costs to the industry by these challenges. And also, if we look in the context of trade flow within an organization, within a particular project, and look at productivity variation, there can be 50% variation between two groups of workers doing exactly the same job on the same site. And why is that important? Well, that can dramatically impact your ability to deliver on time. Now, we know obviously navigating the building life cycle is complex and challenging and unpredictable, and projects are certainly getting more difficult. But let's level, change is needed, and traditional approaches to getting the job done, over reliance on upfront and rigid rules, are making it difficult to react to to challenges that inevitably kind of crop up over the lifetime of a project. What is more, the industry is heavily reliant and influenced on informal communications and commitments, often still to this day captured manually, which is making it very difficult to track accountability, which creates tension and erodes project predictability and profitability. And it also means that any knowledge that we're gaining on projects remains siloed or forgotten. And this ultimately reinforces the burden with the industry and creates that cyclical problem that is ongoing. So how can the industry change? Well, lean construction is pinned up as a solution in terms of a methodology. Now, what is lean construction? Well, lean construction is effectively a philosophy to adopt practices and technologies that both reduce costs, material, time, and effort on a specific project in hand. It's ultimately about identifying waste, pinch points within the value chain of a project and looking at how you can remove those. Now, the principle lean in terms of lean production, obviously, is somewhat embodied and synonymous with Toyota and the manufacturing industry, but effectively the principles have evolved from that and being applied within the context of the construction industry. And in terms of what do we mean by lean thinking, particularly in the context of construction, you can sort of summarize those by 5 common elements. And to think lean is ultimately about adopting processes and technology that shortens construction time, that reduces costs, that accelerates activities, improves the planning process and process control around which in how you do things. And a fundamental mindset within lean is how do you learn from what you've done and repeat best practice of what you've learned. That really is what it is to be lean construction. Now, in the context of some examples, if we go back to kind of thinking lean, shortening construction time, reducing costs, accelerating activities, etc. Off-site manufacturing techniques is clearly a growing, fast macro trend within the construction industry. For instance, by using Power Project, Wilmot Dixon proved, prefabbing 50% of their building off-site, halved the delivery of workers on site. Again, a true lean construction play. Another example might be, robotics, right? Bricklaying robotics are getting better. 3D printing, autonomous rovers and drones are helping to facilitate structural inspection and photograph hard to reach places that both improve productivity, but also improve the work safety. But the area that we want to focus in on today is, regardless of some of those techniques, right, adopting lean construction into a project starts with a plan, right? And in the context of lean construction, contractors need to plan beyond their own tasks, and how do they ensure that they include all the stakeholders necessary to determine the best approach forward. This includes thinking about, the owner, the design team, procurement, engineers, the people down on site delivering the job to be done, and ultimately, leading the way in terms of a methodology to facilitate all of this is the last planner system. Now, let's look into this in a bit more detail. For many of you on this webinar, the last planner system might be new terminology, but you may be more familiar with terminology like short-term planning or 6-week look ahead or pool planning. In essence, we're in the same wheelhouse in terms of methodology, but the last planner system brings that together as a holistic system. So, yeah, what is the last planner system and how do you successfully implement it? Well, the construction industry, as I've already outlined, suffers from a lack of collaboration, largely due in part to project teams being having an inability to communicate effectively. The last planner system is all about promoting healthy conversation by making commitments as a team and by placing an emphasis on removing obstacles that get in the way of productivity. For instance, time waiting for material, equipment, or project information. And it can effectively be summarized by the 6 connected conversations that are on screen here. Effectively, it's about targeting key time horizons. How do we get from the 30,000 view of the world and work our way through to that day-to-day coordination, and at the end of it, building the resilience through that learning mindset. So all the way through this, we're learning and we're reinforcing good behavior, removing things that we don't want to happen next time around, so that we can continue to improve. And ultimately, this approach is about creating a delivery system made up of highly reliable promises that get the job done when it's been defined, and it ultimately creates a high trust organization. And you might ask, well, why is that important to me? Well, high trust construction firms are 2 times more confident in meeting their project deadlines. And in terms of quantifying that opportunity for yourselves, that could save you in order of $4 million annually. But in the context of the last planner system and the benefits directly that can be directly linked to this system, by getting early stakeholder engagement, including contractors, trades in the design phase, for instance, you are 51% more likely to reduce clashing on the job site, which ultimately means a reduction in rework. By looking at specific methodology within and practical techniques within the last planner system, like pool planning, this approach, by working backwards from a single milestone, creates a far more efficient schedule. And by planning and coordinating your work on a weekly basis and making commitments and sticking to them, you ultimately reduce the amount of work that you need to do. And that's important for a number of reasons, right? Not least when there is a shortage of labor and you need to increase your productivity. But for many of you on the call, perhaps you've got a solution in place, particularly in the last planner system space, or short-term planning, or 6-week look-ahead world. But for many of you, you're probably utilizing paper-based and manual processes. Now, these only really serve to hide or redirect fundamental problems, because these solutions only reinforce issues, right? You're not able to get that information back into the overall schedule. Therefore, you can't learn and improve. And things like post-it notes fall off the wall. Data remains siloed. Knowledge is lost. And ultimately, there is a disconnect between the office and the site. So the solutions that are in play, be it that physical whiteboard, which is often synonymous with kind of site cabins. Teams are busy but not working smart. So that's led us to develop Asta Connect. And Asta Connect is ultimately looking to overcome some of the problems that are identified on the previous slide. Because why plan and communicate in a system that is ultimately instantly out of date and not connected? When you can actually plan in a solution that connects directly with the schedule, no matter where you are. And ultimately, Asta Connect is there to serve 3 core problem statements, right? It's not just a scheduling system, it's providing that blank canvas to connect project teams together for them to better coordinate the flow of work through a site. It identifies their roles, responsibilities, and workload, and connects that back to the overall schedule. Because you can onboard your trades early, it means you can get going and seek commitment far sooner. And ultimately, by connecting back to the overall schedule, you're getting complete end-to-end feedback in terms of progress on site. So yeah, it's there really to connect the current the dots, right, that are currently missing in the solutions that you have out there. But let's have a look at the product in itself. So that, for those familiar with Power Project, again, this is the Power Project system. Our Asta Connect solution is a web-based application. It's actually designed and built to be agnostic to world. So in terms of overall scheduling solution, it'll work directly with a Power Project schedule, but also Microsoft XML, and also provides an opportunity to utilize a lightweight Gantt chart capability in the web as well. But let's start with our kind of common use cases in terms of working with the system. So today I've got an overall high-level activity plan. Within this product, we've got an export routine that will get the product schedule out of the system, and within Asta Connect, there's an ability to bring in those files, and this will bring and parse that data and bring it into our web Gantt capability, and then allow the project teams to work together to build that flow of activity. So if I segue to the master plan area, you can see our schedule here. What the system will allow you to do as an organization is break down key phases of your overall plan. Perhaps you only want to schedule a subset of this particular phase, or the entire phase, or a selection of phases. It really allows you to work flexibly in terms of what it is you want to get a greater detail of information around. And then if I create that pool plan, this is where it'll create that digital whiteboard experience. And in designing this product, it's all about making it as tangible as literally sticky notes on a wall, right, that you might be most used to down on site. But this will allow me to create that environment in a digital fashion. So again, in true kind of pool planning kind of methodology, working right to left in terms of that pool mechanism, which creates optimal flow by understanding capacity and demand. I can quickly build out a plan in terms of where I might want to put my sticky notes, and again I can move those around to various trades. If I want to introduce additional teams within this, perhaps I haven't set up the whiteboard as I need. Again, I can add additional teams in here as well, and start adding additional activities. Now, if I work all the way back to the start and start from here, again, let's go to the top. Let's just quickly apply some additional items to here. Again, perhaps I want to add an additional note in here. Perhaps this is actually split into some additional activities as well. So again, as you can see, I'm starting to build up the overall plan. And why is this important? Well, this gives me total visibility on the jobs that need to be done over that period of time. Now I can work as well with more real estate as well, to make sure that I'm maximizing what I can see at any one time. And then as time moves on, and as we want to start progressing information, we're looking at our daily activity plans. Again, I can start marking and assigning these items as complete. Now, why is that important? Well, that gives me two outputs. Firstly, within this system, because I've digitalized this whole experience, it means I can start leveraging insights about what's going on in particular projects and down on site. I've got the ability to visualize daily activities. How far am I away from a complete project? And also, what's the throughput of my given teams within my overall system? So that's use case number one. The other one is, well, we're doing all of this great stuff and we're linking directly back to the master schedule, but how do I get this information back into my overall plan, particularly within Power Project? Now, within the system as well, we also have an export pool plan capability, which allows me to bring in all of this information rolled up. And if I jump back to our master plan activity, what you can start seeing is I'm starting to roll up progress over time on a particular high level activity. So if I jump back to Power Project now and just bring in that file, let me just go and find that. Again, you can see that I've just brought in that 75% complete as is within Asta Connect. So what we've got here is therefore that 360 feedback system within the overall scheduling to short-term planning sense of the world. So that's a very quick end-to-end in terms of what's possible within Asta Connect. Again, if you do want more information, if you want a more in-depth demonstration, please do get in contact. We've got our contact information thereafter. But if you're keen on understanding, well, how quickly can I get started? The answer is today. And what's it going to take? Well, to get started, you can get started today from £250. Please do contact sales there to find out more. And then finally, I want to just talk about, well, how else can Elecosoft help you further embed lean construction? Well, not only can we help you within that last planner arena through Asta Connect, by allowing you to harmonize the relationships and trusts that you have within your trades, upstreaming their engagement with the overall schedule. We can help further support you within the Power Project client itself. Again, I've already outlined the benefits Wilmot Dixon got with through Power Project and the use of that with what-if scenarios. We also have a 4D capability, which delivers an integrated 4D end-to-end dynamic and visualization capability that we've got a series of webinars that you can find out more about. We also have a vision product, which is there ultimately around workflow automation and improving productivity by streamlining your reporting needs. And I've obviously talked about Asta Connect today in terms of improving flow of your trades. I'll pause now for further comments and feedback if I can. Tony.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you for that, David. It was a really informative webinar, which will be sent out to you afterwards as well for you to share with colleagues, etc. I've got two immediate questions, which will come straight through, and they're very similar actually. So I've got somebody asking about, would it work with EasyPlan? And then similar question is, does it work without Power Projects?
Yeah, so EasyPlan, not currently. That's something that we're happy to work with customers on. And then the question around does it work with on itself? Yes, absolutely. So the product in itself is a standalone web application that can be utilized and used without Power Project. Naturally, it will work best with Power Project by bringing through things like code libraries, which you could then utilize to filter the project on and build out your pool plans from there. But yes, you could today use that system without Power Project.
And again, off the back of that, does it need to be a Power Project plan? Can it be from somebody else's software?
Yep. So the other file format we support at the moment is XML. So you can bring in, for instance, a Microsoft Project file or schedule as well.
Excellent. Question with reference to the £250. Following that, what's the yearly subscription? So possibly it's more of a commercial question for myself. So we base it around either the number of users or the number of projects that you want running in the system. So if you wanted to speak to me afterwards, we can look at what you're doing at the moment in your business, and I can give you a more exact cost on that. But the £250 is basically to set you up with 1 month's access to the software, and it gives you the first sort of hour or so of support and onboarding and training, etc. And then another question just comes through is with reference to, does it work similar to Site Progress? So can you send notes and photos and things back into your project?
Yeah, that's something that we're looking at. Again, the system will be evolving as time goes on, and that's certainly an area that we'll be looking at in more detail over the coming year.
Brilliant. And what's that looking like in terms of new features? Is it something we're working on all the time?
Yeah, great question. So yeah, on a monthly basis, we're shipping new updates, new enhancements based on customer feedback. So yeah, it's an evolving product.
Brilliant. And then I've got one last question, which is more general. It's somebody asking about responsibility. So who would you envisage is the main person that would create a last plan, and how do you think it'd work with the site team?
Yeah, great question. So again, it's going to come down to a facilitator in some capacity. Who that is going to vary, I guess, across from company to company in terms of your process. The way we've designed this is for you to be able to onboard anybody. So you could get your lead trades in there as well, potentially pre-baking those tasks to be that they know that need to be completed for you then to facilitate a pool planning session far more productively. That's one route you could go with this. Again, you could just have one stakeholder, perhaps the planner, the construction manager, having total control over that as well, in terms of them managing everything. Yeah, from my perspective, in terms of thinking about the overall system and what the last planner system is about, right? It's about creating a collaborative environment. So the more people that you get into the system and start feeding input into it, the more value you're going to drive in terms of output. So that said, it's gonna greatly depend on your processes as an organization.
Yeah, definitely.
To work with you on that.
I'd say within the system, I know you've got sort of a master planner that could create the original plan, and then you can have other people feeding in data who have got limited restrictions, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And there's nothing else from my side on questions coming in. If anyone's got any questions afterwards, or if you want to have a longer demonstration to see how the project goes in and out of the system again, feel free to obviously contact us on the info app you can see there, or give me a call direct.
Excellent.
Thank you for that, David.
Thank you, and thanks everyone for your time. Again, as Tony has said, do get in contact if you want to find out more information. And thanks for joining this afternoon.